Hey everyone, it's Theresa. I've got such a fun video for you today. It's a collab, it's a challenge. I can't wait to tell you about it. First project, we're going to start with two of these little candlestick holder things, pillar candles, and I've got three of those cupcake holder trays. I'm not sure exactly what they're supposed to be, other than fabulous. First, I went ahead and just did a full coat of the Waverly chalk paint in plaster on both of the candlesticks and the three different trays. My recommendation, I've got lots of them in this video, spray paint those suckers because that was a lot of time to get that those details in the, the like little swoops and loops and whatever you want to call them. Spray paint it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to glue down my candlestick holder using some Gorilla Glue. This is not like the Gorilla Glue wood glue. This is more similar to E6000 and some hot glue. Second time of a recommendation is to actually stick your two candle holders together first. I thought this would be easier putting it on the tray first, so that's a little bit of a difference. I would say if you're going to remake something similar to this project, put the two of them together first. That would have been a whole lot easier. So it's all right. We're working with what we've got, Next, I'm going to put together two of those trays together. I'm going to basically doing it like this is the bottom. Yes, I had to think about that. This is the bottom of the tray. So I'm doing that with both of them, bottom to bottom, basically. And same kind of deal, same glue, the Gorilla Glue and hot glue. It moves really fast. You know what I mean? Like when you're doing it, it's going to be setting really quickly. So make sure you're moving fast. Now I am going to, and this is part of the thing I would say, like definitely do this first. Sorry, my camera's like all over the place. I knocked it. These are just a couple of jumbo popsicle sticks that I'm cutting to fit around the rim because the rim is not level. You know what I mean? So again, this is definitely something I wish I had done first. So I put down some popsicle sticks and glued on the other part. Sorry, you're going to get a couple of really weird camera angles. And now I'm filling this in because it's definitely got a little bit of like a line. I'm filling this in with some caulking, and you see it's kind of like you really got to like go around this tray. Like I said, do this part first. And then I was like, well, it really looks unfinished, so let me put some of these split beads here. I will link them for you below. And I really like the effect it gave, but like I said, I really wish I'd done this first. So I'm going to do the split beads all the way around, and then I painted them in that same paint color, the plaster paint color. And now I'm going to go in with some more of the caulking and fill it in. And using like a dampened Q-tip was a really good way to smooth it out. So it's not perfect, but I still like the overall effect and look of it. And I'll give you a look here. I did distress it as well with some antique wax. And now I need to tell you a little bit about my co-collaborator. This is Elizabeth from Southern Gmore Gals. She does all kinds of fun videos. She'll do, a lot of farmhouse, but then she also does some traveling related videos. So it's a lot of fun, a little variety. She does some painting stuff. You're gonna love her. Go check her out. Tell her I said hi and that I sent you. And like I said, just a really lovely, lovely woman. You're gonna like her a lot. And now we're going to get back into our crafts. I am doing this one with one of these rectangular signs. It really doesn't make too much difference which one. I tried to take off the letters, but they fell apart. So on one side, I glued down just some chalk paper just so it would have kind of like a finished look. And I printed out just a watermelon type print paper thing. I'll link it for you below in case you want it to, print it out. And I'm just going to glue that on. It doesn't even really matter if you end up gluing it as just regular printer paper or if you use like a thicker paper. This time around I used a thicker paper, but I actually had to go back in and fix something. I didn't like what I originally put on it. So I did printer paper the second time and it was just fine. Now we're going to go in and kind of give it like a faded effect with some of that same plaster chalk paint. And now I'll go in, of course, with my antique wax as well to give it a dirtier look to it. I had a lot of color on this, grouping of DIYs, but I wanted to tone down some of it so it wasn't so bright and colorful, which, I mean, it's fun. It's summer. It's fun, right? And now I'm going to take some of these little Scrabble tiles. I got these ones from Amazon. I'll link them for you below. They come in like a pack of like 500. And we're just going to spell out Sweet Summer. I didn't add up my points. You guys, I'll have to do that later. I'll have to add up my points. And I'm going to just use a ruler on the bottom. Make sure you give yourself a little bit of space for like the overhang part of that frame. I found my center point. These are actually pretty much like 10 inches long. Usually with my luck, Dollar Tree gives me these like wonky measured stuff and I have to like think about finding the middle point, and I don't like to think about math when I'm doing crafts. Once they're all glued down, just some hot glue, I'm going to take that antique wax again and just go over the letters just to dull down the wood a little bit. And I also did use some of that plaster chalk paint around the frame too, just to give it a little bit of a different distressed look. Now we're going to add some Sola flowers. First, I'm going to put down a little bit of lamb's ear just to give it kind of like a nice, cute, natural look. These Sola flowers are gorgeous. You can buy them already dyed. You can leave them natural. These are some of the natural ones. These are like the mini ones. I'll link down below the kit that I bought. Really, really reasonably priced for as much stuff as you get. They're a lot softer than I thought. I was thinking they're wood, they're going to be hard, but they're very soft, very delicate looking, just a really perfect touch to add to like all this bright stuff that I've got going on. They hot glue really easy. I absolutely love them. I highly recommend them. If you've seen them online, go check them out. Get you some. They're gorgeous. Here's our finished project, and it looks just the sweetest thing. And talking about sweetest things, I have to tell you about my friend Corie. She is the one who's hosting our challenge today. It's all about minis and tier trays, and I adore Corie. She is just the kindest, sweetest person that you could ever hope to meet. Obviously, I haven't met her, but met her virtually. We've worked together on a couple of videos before. We've got some fun stuff coming up for you in July, so stay tuned for it. I can't say enough good things about her. She's just absolutely wonderful. So we're going to go ahead and get back into our DIYs. We're going to start with one of these little mason jars. This is in like the patriotic section at Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to fill in those little holes, and I kind of sanded down just to give myself a little bit easier of a time painting. It's totally optional. And I took some painter's tape and I just kind of cut a little like squiggly line in it. And I'm going to use some Waverly chalk paint and fern, and I'm just going to paint that on that bottom part, and this is going to be kind of like our watermelon rind. Taking some flag red apple barrel paint, and I mixed in my plaster paint and made kind of this like, I'm going to call it watermelon pink. That's the color I'm going to name it. And then I painted obviously the top part of it, and I'll just fix my little line where I had used the tape. I used basically like the opposite side of the tape to tape it off. We'll go in, of course, with our antique wax, giving it just a little bit of like a dirtier effect, a little bit of like a shadowing. I didn't want to like go full ham on it, with the antique wax, but I wanted to give it some definition in a couple of places. I've seen some people do this, and I always think like, man, that looks gorgeous. I need to do that more often. And I remembered about it this time, so at least I can give my, my mason jar a little definition. I'd seen a couple places on Etsy shops where they actually painted a real mason jar in like a watermelon look, and I was like, well, that's adorable. I can do that with my little cutout. And next, of course, we need to put in some seeds. I'm just using my Arteza paint markers. I'll link those for you below. I got those from Amazon. They're really handy to have. I used them another project in a minute, and they just turned out really cute. And of course, I was like going at it with these little seeds, and I messed up that one at the top, and I was like, oh, it's going to be a bigger seed than it should have been, but oh well, it's a big seed. So I just was like, just kind of fill it in wherever you feel like you need to. And now I'll take some plaster chalk paint again, and I'm going to give it just like a little highlight. You know what I mean? Like, this is a jar, so it's glass, even though it's not. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, if it were real, I'm thinking like, oh, I'll just give it a little bit of a sheen. And where would we be if we didn't put on some twine? I mean, what project doesn't need some twine on it? So I'm just going to hot glue the back of it, and I'm going to kind of string it around a couple of times. And I don't know, I was just kind of having fun with it, and then I get to this big clump of twine. I'm like, oh, this thing looks awful. And of course, it ended up right in the front. So I finish off that little section. I'm going to cut off that nasty part of the twine and continue along the way. I was like, of course, this big old glob of yucky twine is right there. So I'll finish that off. I do end up coming back in and adding a little bit more, and I can't remember if I show you, but maybe it's here. You'll see it in a minute. I add a little finger bow, and I put it up too high, so that's why I ended up needing to come back and add a little bit more. But it's super cute. I think that this little mason jar is just adorable. I think everything ended up being like really, really adorable, and I just can't help it. I can't get over it. I'm so thankful that I did this project. At first I was like, I don't know about watermelons. I don't know about minis. But now I'm like super excited that I did it. See, I added a little bit more twine. It looked like it needed just a little bit more. So I'll just basically do the same thing around that I did, you know, the first time. And once we do that, I need like a little stand on it. So I'm just going to take a tumbling tower block from Dollar Tree, and I'll stand it up to make sure that it actually, you know, stands up the way it's supposed to, and then it'll be done. Isn't it adorable? It's so stinking cute. I can't help myself. And another cute one that we're doing, we're taking some of these little letter blocks from, I think I got them at Target. I got them on clearance. Don't worry, I didn't steal them from my kids. And I sanded off all of the like black markings, or at least as much as I could. FYI, don't bother trying to do it by hand. You'll be there like for 3 years. And now I'm going to just go ahead and do some of my folk art wood tint in walnut, and I'm going to do all the sides of it and then the front part of it where you can actually see like the natural wood. If you don't have the option of using like an electric sander, just paint it black or something, because it would not happen if you're trying to do it by hand. I'm going to take those same markers from Arteza, the paint markers, and I'm going to use this really pretty green to go along the outside to make my watermelon rind. And then I unfortunately did not have a darker toned pink, so I'm using this like fluorescent pink. I wish it was a little darker, but I was like, yeah, I'm not going to sit here trying to like hand paint all of these letters. These little pens come in so much handier. They have like two tips. There's like one side's like a blunter tip and one side's a pointier tip. And next we're just going to take the black and make some little seeds in our watermelon. It's so cute. I don't know. Here they all are. They're adorable. Can't get over it. I wanted to dull down the pink a little bit, and I don't really know that it was that successful, but I tried. I'll just take, you know, a really dry brush and just kind of go over it a little bit with the white, and then I'm going to go over it, of course, in just a minute with the antique wax as well. So, like I said, I was just trying to dull it down a little bit. My decor that I usually try to make is a little more in like the neutral department, but this is obviously not neutral today. But that's okay, because summer is not neutral. We're not neutral about summer. Summer's not neutral color-wise, so we're just going with it. And I didn't realize I showed you every little bit of that, but apparently I did. And now, like I said, we're going to take that antique wax and go over it a little bit too, just to give it a little bit of like breaking up from the lighter color, the plaster paint, because I thought it was a little too, I don't really want to say stark, but it didn't blend in as well as I would have liked it to. But that's okay. We're working with what we got. Now, I thought about just leaving them free, but then I was afraid, well, what if they fall over? Or the bottom side looks funny. The back side is a different letter. So I'm going to make a little stand for it. Just a jumbo popsicle stick, craft stick, whatever you want to call it. And I'll use my miter shears. Now, here's a tip for you. If you're using miter shears, pull up on whatever you're cutting if you're having a hard time, because I don't have a great grip strength, but if you do that and you give it some leverage, it'll work out a lot easier for you. And now we're going to put down these little cubes. They're from a pack from Dollar Tree, just because I needed a little bit more height on my blocks, or you would never see it in the tray. And I knocked my camera. I'm sorry. Obviously, I got a little excited about this, and it was late. I'll just glue them down, and here it is, all finished up, and it really helps it sit up more in my tray. This one is super simple. I have this little box thing that had this really cute succulent in it, and I just heated it up took out all the glue and just pulled out that little pin. It pulled out a lot easier than I thought it was going to, so I was really pleasantly surprised. I sanded in this inside just to remove any little bumps or anything. And then I'll take my plaster chalk paint and just give it a pretty thick brushing, if that makes sense. Like, it's not like fully covered. I definitely wanted some of the wood, the MDF, whatever it is, to show through. But I wanted definitely to give it some rustic look. And I don't know what's going on this side, why it's all funky looking texture. That's mainly why I was like, I definitely have to paint that because that looks funny. So we'll just paint on the insides a little bit as well. And now I'm going to use this little printable. I'll link it for you below. It'll just be into a Google Drive. I'll pop down some glue and away we go. It's all finished. And it just says, don't let the seeds stop you from enjoying the watermelon. I thought that was cute. On to our project again, a next one. And of course, could I make a tiered tray without making a beaded garland? No. Of course I can't. I'm just taking the same colors that I've pretty much been using. Fern from Waverly. This is just the black chalk paint from Waverly and my mixed up myself pinkish colored paint. And then I'm just distressing it with a little bit of the antique wax and a little bit of plaster. I kind of mixed them together a little bit. I went heavier on the whiter color on like the pink beads and the black beads, and then tried to go more in the antique wax on the green beads. Once we're done with that, we're just going to string these puppies on some twine. I use, of course, a little bit of painter's tape to make it, you know, easier on myself. And we're just going to do green, pink, black, because green for the rind, pink for the watermelon, black for the seeds. I thought that was just the cutest way to do it. And now I am just going to take some twine on the end for a tassel. I just kind of looped it around, tied it on the back side, wrap the, you know, little shorter pieces around, hot glue them down because I am no good at tying that thing right. I don't know what it is about tassels. I'm just not that great at them. I use a lot of hot glue in my tassel because to me, I can't trust that I can tie it tight enough or that it won't fall apart and I'll end up with beads everywhere, and nobody wants that. And I'll just kind of tie down that part that actually connects it as tight as I can, add a little hot glue for security, and then here it is, all finished. It's just super cute little touch, you know, to add to a tier tray. What tier tray is there without that? And this one's really not a DIY. I'm taking this little watermelon zipper bag thing from Dollar Tree and I'm just gonna stuff it with some polyfill. I felt like I just needed a little bit more on my tiered tray. I'll just stuff that in there, zip it back up, and we're done. I know this one doesn't really count as a DIY, but I was like, you know what, I need a little something extra in there, and it's super easy. Just sometimes you just find the easy project, right? And here it is finished. I know it's not that big of a shock, but here it all is on my tiered tray. I think it all turned out super cute. So thank you, Corie, for having such a great challenge. And don't forget to go check out the playlist as well as Elizabeth's channel. And she'll have a video for you to check out today as well. And go give them some love. Tell them I said hi. You're going to absolutely love it. I've got some really fun stuff coming up for you on Tuesday. So please make sure you check it out. And I will see you then.